It is what it is, Mikey. There have been some internet fluctuations, at least what I've noticed. Like, some servers have been going up and down. I couldn't play my Battlefield 5 for a couple of days. Very annoyed, but...
Oh, no.
You get by, Mikey. You get by.
How sad. Entity, run into Cox, Narman, and Force. And Kataomi feeling pretty confident that they can't actually lock him down. And it seems like Geek Slate, they won't even try it. They'll focus more on just spamming voice lines for now, as they will get 3 bounties for the price of 1. Watson able to pick up 1 for his team, but that's about all they're going to get. And we'll start off with the mid lane while we're here. Of course, Cox is going to be on that Batrider against Stormstormer on the mid Ember. Who do you think this matchup favors? Do you think Stormstormer can make this one work, or should Cox have his way with him?
We've seen Embers win this matchup. It's all just a matter of outplay. It's certainly a lot easier for the Batrider to just get an advantage here. Melee hero, you spam the napalm up, you get some good right click, you melt through the early flame guard. I'm surprised Stormstormer even went for flame guard. I think the lane winners we see when they outplay here is like sleight of fist chains. You just harass the Batrider, you can't really sustain, and you just get that opening before like level 4, level 5. Still, Stormstormer should be able to find his CS no problem. It does take some time for the Batrider to ramp up. And as long as you keep your spacing right, you're not under major threat. What you will watch out for is the support rotation. So both are tiny for Kataomi, and Narman's Earth Spirit can make a lot of action happen on mid. So 4 minutes, if your side lanes can get out, they should. And look for that opportunity on the mid lane.
Absolutely. Well, have a look at the side lanes as well. I mean, top lane, you've got Fishman there to support Watson on that Slark. Force going to be against them, along with Narman on the Earth Spirit. But this top lane, like, Watson really could start to pop off on that Slark, considering the matchup he has. 2 melee heroes against a Slark, generally, you know, every Slark stream, but against this Primal Beast, it gets a little bit scary. This guy just kind of onslaughts in, pops a trample, and then you've got the backup of Narman on this Earth Spirit, who can just kind of follow up stun with a roll. Speaking of the devil, though, he does get pounced up, but we'll go for the kick away on the Slark, as Fishman now will get chased down by Force, but is going to be okay to just outrun the Primal Beast. This Fishman did actually go for brown boots at that level 1 mark, so pretty smart on his part. But my point being here, John, at this top lane, it can kind of go either way. It just seems to be one of those kind of outplay lanes.
Outplay lanes are just really out-position lanes. It does feel like it's all a matter of if you can get in this angle to get this pounce and catch this certain hero, you can find that angle. Same thing for Geek Slate. If you can get the kickback, get the roll on top, line up your trample and onslaught, then you can certainly just melt these heroes. So it's going to be a little bit more back and forth. This bot lane, though, Skem already in danger.
Oh boy, Skem's already gone on that pos 1 Lina. Toby and Kataomi able to set up, and the Tiny secure first blood, so happy days for Kataomi. First kill to go the way of Entity, and of all heroes you could pick off, the Lina probably your most favorite. I mean, you know, this pos 1 Lina, it does tend to take off pretty darn quick, but if you get killed a few more times, it can be a bit of a slower process.
That's the one thing when you are running the Enigma, because you're shoving in the lanes, you can just control equilibrium so well. Raji's forced to like go for these pulls while it's not in the ideal position. Skem's just exposed. You've got the setup that can come out from Kataomi. You've got the value point, the Malefice. It doesn't take too much to melt Lina in lane. She just doesn't have that much armor, even with all the Iron Branches here.
Bo is there, top lane. They'll make the jump in onto the Rubik, and Fishman is going to drop. Easy pick off here for Geek Slate, as Narman had the vision to connect the roll, and Force obviously just able to follow up quite simply.
Yeah, it's better to lose Fishman than it is to lose Watson, like, because they're focusing so much on killing off that Rubik. Your Slark is pretty much uncontested in farm, so you're trading these kills away for a huge laning advantage. You're 19-7 in comparison there.
Yeah, Cox though, mid lane, he finds Stormstormer. That's the thing against the Batrider, like, even if you're playing the Ember, if you mess up your spells just a little bit, the Batrider is just going to run you down, and Cox, he does exactly that.
Dire's middle tower.
I am just so curious about Stormstormer's build-up, like Flame Guard, Side Fist, like the standard build-up. Again, I'm trying to remember, and I do feel like the winning Embers we've seen is usually like a Sleight of Fist Chains, or at least a 1-3-1 build-up by 5, where you can dish out a lot of damage. Can punish Cox when he does try to jump in, chain him under tower, chain him under creep wave, cut some of that time out from his Firefly, get some distance out. We didn't even see a rotation to come in. Cox just has control, and the matchup is just that much easier with him with level advantage.
And he was trying to go again. EP was coming in, but now cancels the Cox. He might just move back in. Doesn't have the napalm stacks to really threaten the life of Stormstormer. Leave him be for now. Meanwhile, top lane, Fishman gonna get caught out again on the Rubik. So Force able to pick up his second kill, and I do love those Polaris voice lines, man. They're just so damn good. So annoying if that's getting spammed at you when you're getting killed every 2 seconds.
Yeah, that's from Chuplak, local Visayan caster from Cebu. Very, very good voice lines. Very funny guy too. He's the kind of dude that would literally freeze when there's a pause, go silent when there's a global sounds. He's that dude on Reddit. So. Yeah, that's him. That's Chuplak. Yeah, that's him doing the voice lines, I believe. So shout out to him.
He's the guy that took his clothes off as well, right? Like every time something happened, he'd take another shirt off.
I think he did do that. Yeah, he's so entertaining.
That was
hilarious. He's such a funny guy. Anyway, this is not funny up top here, Watson.
Getting chased down again, but in the meantime, they've even got the Lina. So Watson may drop, but still trying to run. Mid lane, Stormstorm is going to go down. Watson still fighting, actually finds Narman. Meanwhile, bottom lane, the Tiny, the Lina, everyone's dying. Everybody gets a kill. Force is still chasing down Watson. He plans
he's getting blocked. No.
He's getting blocked by his own creeps. Oh, the creeps. Watson's okay. Watson's fine. Force has no mana to make the dive in. Just kills all across the map, Jonathan. I don't even know what to analyze there.
I mean, you're finding some good wins on either lane here for both sides. The big difference maker is that mid for Cox. Like this Batrider on this overwhelming start into the travels timing he's going to be seeing here. The activity you can expect from him is just on the next level. For Geek Slate though, their bot lane is just not in good position. Like, there's only so much Rod you can do in this lane. Every time you step out of position, the Tiny can just have a toss, and it's easy setup for Toby to run you down. So that is one hurting point for Geeks League. Yes, Scam is still up there in CS. He's still up there in net worth. But you really don't want to be feeding this onto Toby. His timing onto durability is just going to be that much quicker.
That damn voice line, man. So good. If only we were talented, John. We might make a popular voice line one day.
Oh, no.
Probably not.
I had some pretty good ones. They just weren't chosen, man. I had some good ones. It is what it is.
It is. Probably the last chance we'll ever have anyway.
True enough.
6-5. Oh, 6-5 Geek Slate's way. Top lane, Watson in trouble again. Trampled up here by Force. Onslaught did connect, but the Shadow Dance was there just in the nick of time. Watson able to get out of there. Fishman was just trying to make sure he gets out alive, and that's the second time where the Slark should have just been dead, but gets away with a slither of HP, and it's going to be a little bit frustrating for Force getting so close yet so far. Still, he is having a great old time in the top lane, but Watson is still getting the levels and farm he needs.
He's getting the levels and farms he needs, and Force isn't doing that hot in terms of net worth. He's behind Toby right now. He's the bottom net worth core. Not lagging behind too much, but certainly will stall out some of his timing. So, Stormstormer
going to rush in. Cox will be alright. Narman can't say the same for him though. He will get blocked with his roll, but it doesn't seem like they're 100% confident continuing for this. Kataomi will show up. Narman finally goes down. Roger, can he find a trade? Kataomi, oh, it's a double light strike array. Stormstormer forced to run it out, but they're going to lose Fishman. It'll be a 2-for-1 trade in the favor of Geek Slate as they do find the double kill on the supports. With that entity, yeah, you found the Earth Spirit, but it just cost you so much.
It's a lot of sacrifices. Still only 2 supports to trade away, but the fact that Scam's there to soak up some of that EXP, switching out from the jungle farm, giving a nice boost to the Lina, start to claw his way towards the top as he has started to drag behind in net worth. And those kills have led to Cox having this travel sub 10 minutes. He's ready to run around. He still has lasso ready as well if they see the opportunity to play with it.
Yeah. Bottom lane. Fox is around, just waiting very, very patiently. Kataomi is there to help out if they do make the jump in on Toby, though. Narman might be the bait here. Toby gonna move in along with Kataomi, but Cox, he'll start moving in now as well as the Batrider. He'll go for the lasso, and they should have damage to get it done. The silence will not allow the turnaround black hole play. That's a big one.
Radiant are
Cox,
scanning.
great rotation. But can he get out without getting caught out? It seems like he can. Instead, they'll try to chase down Narman in the tree line, and it doesn't seem like they realize Narman is still on the tree line, just sitting there. He will successfully hide his way to survival,
Radiant's bottom tower
and they just won't
is under
realize
attack.
he's fine.
Just hugs the tree line in the right spot, doesn't get hit by the sleight of fist. They drag so much attention down bot. You're opening up more avenues for Skemp to just farm that triangle and have Force build into that BKB. And you're finding some good movement out from Geeksley. Entity, again, they're not lagging too far behind in build up here. You are still getting good pacing out from Watson. His Echo Saber's almost done. This assembly play into BKB or Ags can line up from there as well. But Narman's still hanging around this area. I mean, Toby shows back in. Fishman and Kataomi are there to back off. They don't have the lasso, so he does back off in the end. But they can line up for top now with all that commitment
Radiant's
bought.
bottom tower is under attack.
Watson
Dire's
is still
top
around.
tower is under attack.
Cox wants to try and
Radiant's
make a jump
bottom
in.
tower has fallen.
He said, without the last no chances, you aren't going to get him.
Structures are fortified.
They'll just go after the top tier instead. No defense to come out. At the very least, though, Entity has found the bottom tier 1 tower, so they do trade evenly in terms of those objectives.
Dire's top tower is under
But
attack.
Geek Slate, they'll be okay with the
Dire's
trade.
top tower has fallen.
They just want to fight. Classic SEA Dota. They just want to try and move in and get some fights going.
Is under attack.
Cox will TP out at maybe the wrong moment because mid lane they are going to see Stormstormer. But without the Batrider, they won't have the damage output. Instead, Fishman and Kataomi may get spotted out in a moment as well. They do have the Ember to back them up though, but they'll make the jump in. Kataomi, he'll be targeted on that Tiny, and he will just drop as Cox now will go after Fishman on the Rubik perhaps. Lasso committed. There should be no saving Fishman. They do just perma-stun him up. Stormstormer trying to help from a distance, but realizes he can't really do too much. We'll just let him go down.
Yeah, again, not the biggest kills for
Radiant's
Geekslate. They're
bottom
only
tower
finding
is under
support
attack.
pickups. But they are feeding a good amount of net worth onto Cox, allowing him to just get bigger and bigger and start to hit those timings you want to see on the Batrider Blink. Only 1,000 gold away. For Entity, this is just one of those things. You pick the Enigma, he's not going to be able to play around Black Hole for quite some time as long as that silencer is around with the threat of global silence. You just play that bot lane, you keep shoving out and keep farming up, playing this aura build-up instead. But Toby's not ready to contribute with the auras yet. The output of Geekslate is high enough that even if he was to show up, it would just lead to his downfall. So they have to play this more passive game on Entity, waiting for Watson to hit that moment where your Slark can come in, use these prolonged fights to his advantage. Maybe a little bit more time, like 5 more minutes on that. He is rushing the Blade of Alacrity, probably looking for the Ags build up from that point. Once you do have the double counts in, the game does simplify. And finding these big targets in Scam and Cox becomes a lot easier. And you can just go for that core versus core matchup that does feel like Watson can dance around.
Still a 1k advantage the way of Entity. Watson being the saving grace right now to their end of things. Not being able to kill the Slark. Again, they've been just so close. Rotations down towards the bottom lane now. Narman and Rogi just sticking as a team. Support duo. Making sure Skem does remain safe on that +1 laner. Seems like both teams they may just take the time now to just relax. As I suppose I say relax, but they've got plenty of time to just spam voice lines again. That's what it's all about.
You know, Force, he was just pulverizing a creeping camp right in front of Watson. Like, he's just trying to prove a point. It's such a low cooldown. He's not going to go for these plays anyway. He just wants his BKB. So you can't fault the guy. So, right in front of Watson, they've just fought over a camp. That is pretty funny to watch. What's not funny is the smoke out, though. Narman and Raji, again, moving as a unit. They've got Cox in that lane. Just one good roll in from Narman and set up here.
It's really hard to get away from this support duo because you haven't got any kind of defensive items yet. Like, Toby has a mech, but that's not going to remove all the silences that can come out.
Oh, counter smoke.
Shines off this bot lane. There is going to be a counter smoke trying to hunt down the Batrider. Cox needs to be very, very careful. He does have his support duo nearby, and they do have the global silence, but they may need to pop it very, very soon. Rogi so far is waiting. Silence is there by Naaman. He'll try to tank the gank on the Earth Spirit and buy the time for Cox to TP out. And that he will. You lose your Earth Spirit, but he does allow the Batrider to get out of there. And I'd call that probably a win for Geekslate, considering how many heroes had to rotate for that.
Yeah, it was a lot of heroes coming out. You drag the attention of Stormstormer as well.
Middle tower is under attack.
And you are getting space out for Watson. I think the movement from Geekslate is just not quite in the right part of the map. Slark is able to farm Stormstormer.
Radiant's bottom
Immediately
tower
just
is under
deleted here by a
attack.
scam. And now they've got another. Fishman, I mean, he pops the Laguna on Rogi, but he does go down anyway. Rogi will survive. Geekslate, kills, they're having a very good time. Farm-wise, it's still a very good time. My only concern for them being Watson's still having an extremely good time. And speaking of Watson, only he's chasing down Force. Force will go for the trample play, try his best to survive through this and fight back, but there's no way to do so once cut involved. Onslaught is there, but it's just too short. He doesn't channel the full duration. And with that, he will just go.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Gives himself a head bonk as well. Another stack of agi for Watson, and that is his ag. It's pretty much almost done. He's got the gold to buy it out. I'm surprised he didn't buy the orb yet. They are trying bot.
Radiant's courier has been
Give it a
killed.
shot. Black Hole was there, but it doesn't do too much against Cox. Toby now just trapped in the tree line, has absolutely zero places to go. We'll just go down. In fact, and he can really hunt them down because they all just up.
Dire's middle tower is under
Just get the
attack.
magnetized gun. He needs the backup. There is the Ember rotating back in, but Scam has he shown up the wrong? And though it does seem like he has, he found, but that's all they're going to be able to find as he is set to fall. We'll just pick him up and take him out. Big kills here. The side of entity.
Now they revealed that axe in a very big way from Watson. And once you've got the double pounce up, the Lina's so easy to get on top of. The ag's still not quite there for Skem as well. It's a little ways off in that build-up. You're maybe just waiting for one primary ags here on the side of Geekslate before we really start to clump up. Force just lacking the recipe. We need to see some action out from this Primal Beast. Like, yes, he's been holding the lane. He had a grid time top for Force, but outside of that, he's not taking part in any of these fights. Whereas right now, even Fishman's, even Watts, we're ready to join in, build up, get those essence shift stacks up for Cox, and he's got the blink
Right on target. He's got Rogi. Scam trying to wait for the Dark Pack to help out. Lasso is going to be there. The Cox immediately jumping in, but Kantomi with a big avalanche is going to save the day. Still, they are going to jump in, and they've got Watson. Watson is down, but here comes Stormstormer to try and salvage the situation the best he possibly can. Out of remnants, though, he cannot continue chasing down Scam. We forced to back off. So a 1-for-1 trade, but certainly in the favor of Geekslate. They have found the slot for the sake of the silence.
Radiant structures are fortified.
An entity are unable to pursue it. What
Radiant's
else?
middle tower is under attack.
And again, Geekslate are taking all of these fights with their out front, and their Primal Beast be seen. They're still making it work without that body forward here.
Yeah, Force is just not in the fight. Toby.
I've got my ear.
Rogi will be to Toby, and will secure the silence to kill once again. Geekslate Just trying to
Radiant
protect
are
that
scanning.
mid-tier 1 tower. Still trying to BKB
Radiant's
come out on
middle tower
force.
is under attack.
And now he does have it. It's on the area. They will lose the mid-tier 1.
Radiant's middle tower has
But that
fallen.
BKB they've been waiting for such a long time is
Dire's
finally on its
bottom
way.
tower is under attack.
We'll see what they get done with this.
It needs to make something happen. Like, they've been buying time for force more than the investment in the BKB must lead to some aggression out here. As Entity, they're smoked off. Black Hole's still down for 30 seconds, but they take control of that top triangle. No, this Radiant triangle, though.
Avalanche toss, Cox, he's a big target. He'll 4-staff away though, will survive for now as Narman. He gets the silence off, but doesn't opt to try and roll in. Not feeling confident with how low Skim got there for him, or rather how low Cox got for a moment. Still a very close game though, 16 to 12, 1k advantage the way of Entity. Anyone's game at the moment. One team fight can give you such a massive swing in terms of net worth. And there's going to be a big smoke up from Geek Slate. They're going to try and make that big team fight happen. Even just a big team pick-off to happen. Stormer, he is probably going to be the closest target to them.
Yep. Does have at least one remnant back off here. So can get himself out to safety, but Blink Lasso is ready for Cox.
Stormer, smoke broken, remnant away. Stormer though, he's out of remnants. Global Silence is there just in the nick of time as well. Still, Entity are going to try and move in and get something for their troubles. Katsuomi looking for a tossback, found a creep. So Narman still running, gets kicked away by Fishman, but it won't matter. He does go down.
When they find some punishment, but it's an Earth Spirit for an Ember Spirit, you're a lot happier on the side of Geek Slate. You are building up these Essence Shift stacks, and Watson, though, he does have 5 permanent Agi. And the Slark is really your big issue now on Geek Slate. Yes, you're finding punishment on pretty much every other core, but Watson's been free farming like a beast. Farm parity with Skem, 5 free Agi on his way. BKB coming up next. Once that BKB's up, he's really got nothing to fear when it pounces in. Gotta be a bit cautious here on Geek Slate as to allowing that to happen. But maybe just confident enough to have the lasso answer from Cox.
Another group up from Geek Slate, but Entity, in the meantime, they are just freely farming up on Watson. Still about 200 gold ahead of Skim's Lina, so the POS 1 matchup, it's still proving to be extremely close between these two.
ขอบคุณที่แจ้งให้ทราบไม่อยากจะทราบก็ตาม
Seems like both sides might just kind of take a backseat now and just relax for a little bit. That farm going is now it's a 2k advantage the way of Entity. Keep in mind, Geek Slate are around the Roshan pit where Entity are on the opposite side of the map. A little bit scary for them. Geek Slate have that access to the Roshan pit and they aren't really nearby. So while the outpost is still there in the Dire Jungle, they should be just fine. Oh, even the T1 mid tower is still standing.
Dire are scanning.
But I suppose you do have to be careful not to allow Geek Slate to just kind of sneak that one away from you if you're not too cautious.
Yep. Don't want a free rush to go the way of Lina. 2 lives and Skem is just going to change the way these fights break out. And speaking of Skem, BKB is up for him, but Entity smoked up. They've got their spells ready. They know they've got to go for the Roshan play.
Jump in, they're going to try. Avalanche from Katsuomi. They found Roger as well, so both the Silencer and the Earth Spirit will call, but they're both fine for now. Watson gets pulverized, but he has the Dark Pact. He's okay to pounce out. There's going to be a 5-man smoke now. Geek Slate still want to try and pursue the side of Entity. Stormer picks up a double damage rune for himself while he's within his own smoke. Break it now. They know he's around there somewhere, but instead they're going to make the jump in mid lane onto Katsuomi. But they even found Fishman on the Rubik, so a 2-for-1 special. Fishman still being controlled up. Will get bursted down by a scam, and there's the Stormstormer getting caught. Global Silence is out through the BKB. He can't get out of there. Still waiting for it. He gets through him just in the nick of time, but the Lina attack still going. Stormstormer trying to run, but Narman's on the chase, but no, it's not enough. Oh, he will barely survive. Oh, it was like the Matrix watching him trying to avoid those Lina attacks, John.
Oh, yeah. Flying all over the place. Very awkward position. Pop the BKB and the Global Silence comes afterwards, but they just didn't have enough damage coming through. The DD, the damage he was dishing out with Sleight of Fist, more than enough for Stormstormer to get some gap spacing from the other heroes on Geek Slate. And that's the window he needs to just slip out. So they force out some pretty big usages there. Global Silence down for a good time. You've got Black Hole ready. You can take Roche yourself down, Entity. You know the counterfight threat from Geek Slate isn't there. It is a bit of a process, but we'll go their way eventually.
Certainly will. Geek Slate, they can try to fight this one out, but they've got to get there rather quick. Narman is on the way on the Earth Spirit, and he can always try for a Roshan still. Not that easy, though, especially into 5 heroes. We'll get a bit of vision. Fox will move in with the Firefly. Kataomi out with the Avalanche. Roshan now getting very, very low. His force is going to make the jump in. The roll-in is there from Narman. Watson, he'll jump out of the Roshan. He'll go right after the kills instead. Onto the Silencer. Rogi is down. Scam's in trouble. He'll try to BKB and run. Meanwhile, Kataomi about to fall the tiny, but Force will do the exact same. Seems like Entity have won the team fight. They can just casually move right back into the Roshan pit. The Cox is still trying to make it difficult on the Batrider, but there's no way into the pit.
Dire's bottom tower is under
Narman's already left the building as well. He's not interested in trying to steal the Aegis.
into the Dire.
Just too hard without vision. And so a massive win for the side of Entity.
BKBs are just making it so hard for Force to try to get that control he wants on some of these bigger heroes. Like the moment the Slark just pops BKB, gets a double pounce off, your backline just gets ripped apart. And he enjoys going into the Primal Beast at this point. He enjoys going into these tanky heroes, getting more stacks of Essence Shift up. And he can dish it right back. Side of Geek Slate, Scam, force the TP away from bot, knowing that there's going to be some action to force into that tier 2. Cox just sneaking around a bit. Not really able to get any ambush here, but would want to cut the creep wave at least.
Radiant structures are fortified.
In the meantime, Watson just casually pushing into tier 2 bottom tower along with the rest of Entity. Slate, they'll hang around that dire jungle. Entity still going after the bottom tier 2 in the meantime. They could run into Kataomi, though it's not the biggest kill, but he's got the vision anyway.
Radiant's bottom tower has fallen.
Trickster's rule of illusion.
Tier 2 tower does go down. Watson's still sticking around that bot lane, knowing he's probably safe. And rotations are incoming. They want to fight that top lane. They see Scam on that Lina on the creep wave. He's kind of been left behind. His team is slowly making their way in. But Scam is forced to pop the BKB to be able to get out of this. Rogi, he cannot do the same though. He'll get pounced by Watson. No BKB of his own. He will drop. Scam, rather Stormstormer, chasing down Force in the meantime, does land the chains out onto the Primal Beast, but he doesn't have the backup. So I say that Watson, he is approaching very quickly on that Slark. Force still trying to run, but the pounce is right on target by Watson. So there is help around, but Cox now, he'll be targeted by Watson. Watson just does not care. He'll move into anywhere, anytime. His pounce away again, this time will not land.
Just got interested.
So Cox will get out, so will Force. But as you can see, John, they are having a lot of trouble trying to deal with this Slark.
And they can't commit on to him. They know with the 2 lives up, they only have one real good hard lockdown spell opportunity to use there. They will smoke up now. They've got the Global Silence, they've got to wait to still counteract Toby if the threat of Black Hole comes in. Just need to find a pick-off. Like, if you can find a pick-off while the Aegis was running, you're pretty happy. That's going to stall out the progression onto a push, stall progression onto your other tier 2s, saves your high ground some time, gives Scam some time as well to finish up this full Silver Edge. Not going to be able to fully commit though. They don't really have the forward vision here from the side of Geek Slate to hunt down Entity at the moment. Entity, they've got a 5k lead up now. This Slark is just so damn big. And this is him without the shard. Once you've got the Depth Shroud on top of all of this, like just all of that immunity makes it so difficult for the side of Geek Slate to really do anything about it.
Here we go. 4-man smoke up. Entity. You can find Narman closest target right now to Watson. He can make the pounce in, and he does land it once again. A nice kick away with the boulder smash, but it's not going to do enough. Scam hanging around in the pos 1 Lina, but understands he cannot help out his support. We'll just have to watch him go down. But maybe they can try for a counterfight. Fox will move in, but a nice slider through from Stormstormer at the right time. So BKB was there, so the Firefly and Lasso do basically no damage to Stormstormer. They are fine to back off once again. Just look at Watson. And this Slark, he just keeps moving in on his own. He's gonna pounce in again. You can almost feel it. He's finding another target for himself.
He's too durable.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
He's just too big. Like this Slark. So burst down. You don't really have the damage to deal with him. You fed him 10 permanent agi. Going for the Scotty next. He's almost there too. You need to be able to jump the Slark first, but your single target control is just handled so nicely by the Dark Pack. You can't commit with Lasso, you can't commit with Pulverize. There's always going to be an answer. It needs to be Norman in first with a silent stun. And it's just so hard to catch a Slark anywhere. Even if you manage to get Norman in an angle. Just has all the power world. You have Ags up and running on force. So he's got a little bit of a break. Running around on the up 4. Pretty good up on that. Well, so you can dish a lot more damage in the middle of these team fights if he does live true. But speaking of slippery, I mean, Stormstormer has his full Ags up. He's just going to be jumping around as well in the middle of these fights. Geek Slate, they're lacking control, and it's really starting to make this game a lot more difficult than it should be for them.
Most gracious.
Still grouped up as a team here. Geek Slate is 5. Entity doing the exact same though, not willing to give any openings over. Scam has done still significantly well, considering his net worth on the Lina. Still top of the net worth board. Just can't deal with the Slark once he makes the pounce in though. Scotty very close for Watson, and now another double damage going to be found by Stormstormer to boot. Yeah, I'm just going to be hitting like an absolute truck in this next fight. Both sides, they'll take it easy for a little bit. Maybe wait for the next Roshan, though it is a fair bit of time away. Entity, I mean, they'll probably be the team that try to make a play, if anything. And speaking of said play, they are grouping up now. Guardi is up on Watson. So they'll go for that surprise item reveal.
Dire's bottom tower is under
Fortunately,
attack.
they've got the Blink on Toby, so you can set up with the Black Hole. If you just catch the Silencer in that, you don't have anything to worry about.
Dire's bottom tower has fallen.
Well, here we go. They saw Skim in the bot lane, but he's going to back off at that right moment. Also break the smoke of Stormstormer, but he just pops the BKB and rushes right in. The Cox, BKB is popped, but they've got the Batrider in trouble. He's still trying to run. Meanwhile, on the backside, cuts to Omi. He found 2 targets, forcing more BKBs out. Skim is forced to just TP away from his team, as this is not the fight he wants. Narman's going to be alright. He will TP as well. It's only going to be 1 down for the side of Geek Slate. In fact, 1 down that whole team fight. Just so many BKBs being forced out to be able to get out of there.
Costly. Geek Slate down under charges now on Scam, down to 6 seconds. Much more opportunities for Watson to jump on top. Once he has the full basher up, you're not going to be able to bail out with the TPs as well. And you still lack that big control piece for the Slark. As long as he's able to dance around, jump all over the place with a BKB up and running, you just don't have a solution from Geekslate. And it just goes back to maybe not playing around your timing. There was a moment when the entire team of Geekslate just felt a lot stronger, but Force was just not joining these fights. He gets the BKB up and running, then suddenly it doesn't matter. Like, he just can't hold the key heroes. He can't hold the Slark. He could maybe hold the Stormer, but with a BKB, he has to wait for that to fade unless Narman can set up. It's just demanding a lot from both Narman and Cox in this game, and it's a lot more forgiving for Entity. I don't think we've ever seen Toby even really commit a black hole outside of that one-time bot, which didn't line up. But he hasn't had to in these successful fights. And once he has that BKB, you don't have the solution for Maji anymore. If you force Global Silence first, he just BKBs jumps in, and Toby's there to clean up. Looks like he has to execute on a very fine line here.
Absolutely. A lot of tension in this game one. Like, it's a SK advantage, but it still feels close for a comeback here for Geekslate. Not too big of a deal. One team fight will do it. Roshan is up now, so both teams need to make their way over to that Roshan pit. That they will. Hang around that area. Just a question of which team starts at first, but it probably has to be Entity. I think Geekslate will be more than happy to just be patient on in their own triangle. Well, Skem just picking up a Satanic now on that Lina as well. The big itemization for this next team fight. But that is the Satanic into the Skadi of Watson, so maybe not quite as effective. And it's not like his BKB is that long of a duration anymore. It's 6 seconds.
Will to live.
Yeah, it's a lot tougher. Skadi can be in a way a solution to Satanic, but the active does still overwhelm the Skadi healing reduction, so Scam can still stay alive decently as long as he doesn't get chain stunned, and he can get that Satanic off. Roche is up. Roche number 2 with a shard. Just doesn't feel like a simple fight for Geekslate to take. The threat of Black Hole looms over them if they go into the Roche. They haven't been able to find a pick off recently. They're playing a farm game, and only the Lina is really winning that for Geekslate. Everyone else is starting to lag behind. Cox and Force just not able to keep up with Storm and Toby at this point. So you've got a pretty decent edge for Entity to play off of. And for Geekslate, this patience can pay off. Lina still has room to grow, but it just feels easier and easier for a Slark to go into that late game, because you're talking about 2 invulnerability spells in Shadow Dance and in Depth Shroud. You have nothing to match that on the side of Geekslate. That's the one thing with Slark. It's almost like Juggernaut in that ultra late game scenario where Omni Slash isn't busted because of the damage. It's busted because it's like a 5-second invulnerability window where your core is just doing damage. Slark has that as well.
Lines being drawn out all over the place here. Slate. Smoke on smoke situation. This could be massive for either side, but Roshan has gotten started now for Entity. We're just going for it as Geekslate are wrapping around through the dire jungle. There is vision on that high ground though, so it could be very effective for Entity as they do jump in now. Lasso is out, they've caught the Enigma. They'll try to burst him down, but he does have the Lotus Sword to protect, but no, it's not enough. Skem will take him down, but the immediate buyback is there. Rogi has also died, so it should be a free black hole if he can get within range. There's Narman and Fishman both go down as well. They've caught Force with the pounce out now, so Watson will keep trying, but there's your BKB up from Force and the onslaught away. But they go right back towards that Roshan. Geekslate, can they get there to fight it? It doesn't seem like it.
You use too many of your resources. They know the threat of black holes there. They've got to surrender at Roche with free shard. And that should be Watson picking up everything. So Depth Shroud's going to be in play. Secondary Life's in play. Geekslate, they're showing us some great ways of taking these fights, but again, the cores that they want to kill are just not in a position where they can take them down.
Cox getting caught a second time with the pounce out from Watson. And he's just gone. I mean, Storm will take the kill, but that was basically just all Watson.
Yeah. Again, it's Slark at ultra late game. Well, not even ultra late game, just Slark towards this late game period. With all the pounces, with all this invulnerability, With his level 20 talent pack, once he hits that level 25 talent, your window to be aggressive just shrinks as well. Because of how long that essence shift will last.
Radiant's middle tower is under
Entity,
attack.
they can slowly just take control of the map. The side of Geek Slate, they're trying to shove on the sides. Scam is looking to ensure at least bot will force a response out at some point. But they're going to lose their top in the process for this overwhelming army from Toby. And for Geek Slate, it just doesn't feel like they've been confident in a while. Like they've just not been able to jump. They've not been able to get control. They've got this Lina that can do a lot of damage, but Slark just gets on top of you and you're in a world of hurt. And there's no simple solutions coming out. Maybe this BKB on Armin is actually the big one, as he does have it finished up. So you can roll in, fully commit for the team, and try to force the angles out, try to force some BKB usages early, have the team reset, and jump back in afterwards. That could be the play for Geek Slate.
Could be. Still 9k advantage now for Entity. Scam's still top of the net worth board, but yeah, it just doesn't translate if he's not able to just stand there and hit people the whole time. Now TP is coming back towards the side of Geek Slate. Entity will move back into their dire jungle. Toby's leaving the arcane rune here for Watson, I think. Watson will take it. So this is a very scary Slark with very low cooldowns now, and they're going to see Scam. That's the primary target. Immediate remnant in, pounces out, force the BKB from Scam, but he still can't just run away from Watson. Watson will just keep chasing him. Full staff away, but another pounce on the Lina. Scam is down. No buyback available. Next will be Cox. There goes your Batrider. Narman, he may not be safe either. He'll try to BKB up, but the roll is going to be blocked, and they will just keep chasing them down. Watson's an absolute monster on this Slark. There's just no stopping him.
He just has such a good game lineup for him. They just never pressured that Slark while he was weak. They allowed him to farm up. They played his farm game with Force and Scam. And now their high ground's just going to get torn apart. He still has Aegis for 2 minutes. There's no reason to back off. Black Hole is still ready on Toby as well.
Radiant's middle tower has fallen.
That it is.
Radiant's bottom
Entity
tower is under attack.
Watson even getting the courier of course.
Radiant's courier has been killed.
Before he comes back into the mid-racks, he just does the old double pounce maneuver. That'll be the mid-racks gone. Watson looks like he's about to build up an Abyssal Blade to make life even harder for the side of Geek Slate. That's Naomi, he'll make a casual jump in, but can't find the avalanche toss.
Radiant structures
Just Ogre still towed him out of there though. No real problem for him.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
There might be 2 Raxes to go the way of
Radiant's
Entity.
bottom barracks are under
Oh, they
attack.
might be able to stick around for the third as well. There's no T2 tower standing to protect that third Rax. So if Entity are feeling a bit spicy, they can just move in for a third, get the Megas up and try to get a GG call going. They'll play it safe.
Now Lina respawns there. The full force of Geek Slate's online. You know, they've got some of their items off cooldown. BKBs should be ready to go again. So they respect that. They know the big opportunity for Geek Slate is an overextension on the high ground. Just don't give them that chance. Although, Watson.
Indeed, he has got the Aegis up. He's still got his BKB available, but they'll just force start from away. Watson actually just hanging around the high ground, just casually waiting for someone to show up. Realizes there is a ward on that high ground though, so can't go for that surprise maneuver. Anthony, they are going to play a bit more conservatively. Like, I suppose they realize the comeback is still available for Geek Slate if they do lose a big team fight. So without seeing the opening that they want, they'll just back off for now. Geek Slate are backs against the wall anyway. They haven't got many places to farm at the moment, so the net worth lead should only escalate for Entity. And there's really not much they can do about it. They're kind of just stuck waiting high ground for a good team fight. So they could choose to smoke up, but every smoke they've gone for recently hasn't even been close.
No, they have so many ways of just breaking it nicely on Entity, and every single time Geek Slate pokes out, the best core they've been finding has been Toby. That's the best hero they've been finding so far. They've just had nothing to answer onto the Ember for Stormer to watson Slark. They are trying to build up hexes now. Force is trying to go for the site, so So again, piece of control on hand. If you can get it up and running, just get the right target to jump on. Easier said than done. An Entity can just play this game. Very patient. 21k lead. Win probability right now is 99% the side of Entity. The comeback potential for Geek Slate is so small. But again, you have all these relocation spells. You've got the lasso. You could try to just hope for a fountain play, which is why Entity's just so respectful. Like, they've seen that happen at least once before. They don't want to have to go into it. And you just play it safe. No rush. Shiva's almost done in Stormer. Bloodtorn for Watson. And you're just set to go. You have all the defensive spells. You've got your toolkit ready. You know that Geek Slate can't keep up with you in farm. So why force the issue? Just play your game.
Yeah. They're just sitting high ground right now, just waiting.
Scanning.
Entity ripped up in the mid lane. They have got a smoke ready on Fishman if they do want to pop it. And they will. Stormer has his own invis rune, just currently maybe setting up for a bait in the mid lane, hoping someone makes the jump in on the Ember. But there'll be a long wrap around here from Entity. Down towards the bottom lane they go. Aren't going to really be able to go for a pick off without entering the base, I don't think, but there is a counter smoke now from Geek Slate. Heading towards Stormer. Geeks will run through the top lane. The question is, where are they headed? They haven't got the best vision right now. May get spotted in just a moment. Stormer will break the smoke, but there's going to be a black. Well, they've caught a big target. It's going to be the Ember, but Stormer, he'll be fine for now. Instead, they're trying to make the jump in on Watson, but Watson, he can just heal up. With the Shadow Dance, they can't really kill him. Meanwhile, Cox, he's trying to run, but he's getting destroyed by Watson as they bounce him. They've got the Lina. There is no escape. The Batrider runs the Black Coal. It does come out. So tough for Geek Slate. Rogi will drop. GG is called. They've seen enough. Geek Slate.
Yeah, they just got off to a running start for Watson. His lane was a little bit back and forth, but he did find